The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts of the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hicos.
All right. Hey, we're back, and this is hour 2 of the Conservative Syndicate, coming to you live right now, coast to coast, nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, this Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. And hey, if you're listening to us out there, wherever you're listening to us right now, I have to apologize here. We've got some kind of ongoing issue here with my encoders here at our station here. They keep shutting off, so it's like we're intermittently coming and going out there in cyberspace, and that might be why we've been having the sound issues here in the first hour. So I've just got to keep a close eye here. I'm not sure what's happening, but it looks like we're throttled here on our internet connection. And it's just, if you don't understand how these things work, these servers, they just have to be cut off for just like a nanosecond. It doesn't take much. And if the bandwidth just drops just for a moment, it shuts everything off on these servers, and they just continue serving until you start them back up again. And just seems to be something that's going on here today. I don't know if we maybe overloaded the system today. Maybe I should have started the whole thing fresh before we got on the air today. I don't know. Anyway, we'll just continue to do what we can do, the best we can do it with what we've got. And just get through today, and I'll have a chance to look at it more detail later. Anyway, all right. The topic of fake news, something that I think is something that we really kind of need to address, and we need to address it as much as we can, because one of the things that if we don't, let me put it this way. I think I mentioned earlier in the show that I was locked into a rather long narrative over the course of the weekend on several topics, and one of them was the impeachment of Donald Trump. Okay, that's a narrative that's being floated out there right now. It started about the beginning of last week. Public Policy, what was the name of that company? It's a polling company out there. Public Policy. Let me get the name here in front of me here while I'm. Let's see, what is it? Anyway, yeah, I've got it down here. I just got to scroll down to my notes and find the name of it. And anyway, they put a poll out last week. Here we go. Where is it? They put a poll out here, and I can't find the name of the company here. It was a poll. Oh, here we go. Okay. Public Policy Polls, that's what it's called, all right? And this is a firm that was started back in 2012, I believe, if I remember right. And this polling company is run by a Democrat operative. And it's being, and because he was so accurate, I think the thing was that his poll numbers and everything were accurate regarding the 2012 election. So everybody, what they do is they jump on the bandwagon and they say, oh, we got somebody here that knows, kind of like Nate Silver out there with 538, who, by the way, was wrong again. Everybody thought he had it all down, but he was wrong again. And Public Policy Polling put out this poll last week, and it was asking the question as to whether people thought Donald Trump should be impeached. And the numbers were significant in the polling. But anyway, when I saw it, I immediately thought, how, there's things that you got to ask yourself when things like this come out. If Trump has become so unpopular in such a short period of time, having really done nothing in terms of actually beginning to govern, how did he get elected in the first place? That's the question that I can't get any liberal to answer. How did this guy get elected if he's so unpopular? And how did he get elected by the margin he got elected? And don't throw the popular vote argument back at me. We've already disproved that. Take California and New York out of the picture, and Trump wins the popular vote by over 3 million votes. So I'm not buying into that argument that he didn't win on popularity. The electoral count was astronomically in his favor. And just Hillary got snowed. She got schlonged, if we can use that word. Okay? So you can't convince me that all of a sudden, just because Donald Trump decided to issue restrictions on who could come into the country from Muslim countries, that all of a sudden the entire paradigm and opinions of Americans changed. But this poll wants to try to indicate that. And so that within the concept or within the pretext or the entire argument of fake news. If this is something that's been manufactured to advance a false narrative. And that's what fake news is. I defined it last week. It's when something is created or misconstrued or misinterpreted or redefined, deconstructed, redefined, whatever shape it takes. What it is actually when they decide that they need to advance a narrative, and the way to do that is that we take whatever information we have and we skew it to say whatever it is we want it to say, and if we happen to lie or stretch the truth in the process, then that it's the end justifies the means kind of thinking. So that's really what I'm getting at here. Any fabricated story or paradigm that's created to persuade public opinion and thus allow its creators to advance an agenda or objectives, and this can include misrepresenting circumstances or facts regarding real events, the evolution of innuendo. You start out with a speculation, make an innuendo or implication, and then you just keep repeating it, and sooner or later it becomes fact. Climate change is a perfect example of this. Okay, it's now fact, even though nobody has ever said it's a fact. We think it is. Our studies and our models, which some are skewed, portray it as such, and so therefore we continue to narrate this, and it becomes fact, and everybody accepts it as gospel, or just outright lies intended to mislead or smear. And I think that's what this Trump impeachment thing is about. So I want to get more into detail with that if I can when we get back here. This is our short segment. We got to go to break. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
We're not arguing. We're explaining why we're right. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours.
Call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you have been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. All right, well, here we go. Oh, this is a dog day afternoon, man. Bad day at Black Rock. It's just one of those days. One of those days. We'll have to, I'm going to spend some serious time tonight looking at this thing and figuring out what the hell's going on here. All right. But we're back. And this is a Conservative Syndicate, and we'll limp through the rest of the day here and get this thing going here. But this idea of fake news, and it is very far-reaching. The media is trying to downplay it to a certain degree and trying to keep it within the confines of just made-up stories. And the reason why they want to do that is because, I guess, during the election cycle, they believe that most of the false news that was out there, fake news that was out there, dealt with the Hillary Clinton campaign. It was all about trying to discredit Hillary Clinton much more than it was about Donald Trump. And now, of course, because Donald Trump keeps addressing the issue and keep alluding to the fact and basically calling out some of the news networks like CNN and calling them fake news outlets, now, of course, now he's put himself in the crosshairs. And every time he says something or every time somebody on his staff says something, they're going to be dressed down. I believe it was over the weekend, the entire talk circuit had Steve Miller on there talking about the fraudulent voting. And the fact that he alluded on several of the conversations about the fact that the media outlets were just, downplaying it, telling, I don't know, there's so many thoughts wrapped up in these things. And I just, my mind goes crazy when I'm trying to discern everything and keep it in a logical track here. But think about this with the voter fraud thing. George Stephanopoulos was dressing down Steve Miller over the weekend, telling him, you have no evidence, you have no proof that there was a voter fraud out there in New Hampshire, and this, that, and the other. And
proof. There's proof all over the place about that.
Oh yeah,
James O'Keefe did a whole damn series of videos on it. In fact, he was taken to court by the Attorney General there in, I think, Connecticut, and is like, hey, this is what's going on. And so it's bullcrap. But I don't care if it's one vote. If it's one vote, how about we say, okay, George, your vote was disavowed by some illegal activity over here. How do you feel about that, George? You happy about it? You going to make that sacrifice, George? Is that okay with you?
Yeah, and see, that's the argument that the left gives when they talk about disenfranchisement of the minorities. Every vote counts. Every vote counts. Well, it only counts, I guess, if it's the vote that you want. But if somebody else, if there's such a thing as voter fraud, and there is voter fraud. Now, I'm not going to sit here and be so bombastic as to say, millions and millions of false ballots were cast. I don't know how many, but we know that there was. We know that we talked about it on the show. We had the Wisconsin, was it Indiana situation up there, or was it Illinois?
No, Indiana.
I think it was Indiana, where they found all these problems with the voter rolls. We've got situations down in Florida
Well, we had reports of ballots being manufactured in the room that they were just supposed to be gathering them, and they were creating ballots. So the number of voter fraud incidences is not the issue. The issue is there voter fraud? The answer is yes. And it doesn't matter if we have to set some kind of number out there and say, well, it's not an issue unless we reach this proportion of the number of votes. If we can reach 10,000 false ballots being cast out there, we've already reached that number, because that means it can be expanded. That means that it can be duplicated. It can grow. Now, in line with that, here's my thought, Joe. If there is no such thing as voter fraud, as the left likes to play whenever somebody on our side brings up the issue, then why are we talking about the elections being hacked? You know, it's like, what's the difference between what you're saying and what we're saying? We're saying that there's voter fraud. You're saying the elections were hacked and unfairly influenced in Donald Trump's favor.
Well, that's so they can rationalize the fact that they had the most corrupt candidate in the history of presidential elections trying to get elected. Hillary Clinton was just that horrible a candidate. But if they can go, well, the Russians hacked it, then you can say it wasn't her fault. It wasn't their fault. You know, it was stolen. It delegitimizes Trump's election. And that's the reason why they do that.
Well, I was just reading an article this morning on the Huffington Post, and I'm really surprised. Huffington has been publishing some really anti-leftist blogs out there, and they were talking about the fact that their sources are telling them that Hillary Clinton is going to run again in 2020. And so the way the headline was, Hillary to run in 2020, get ready for 8 years of Trump. and I'm like, you know, but again, this fake news narrative thing, it's beyond just the idea of making up news. Now, I want to give you an example, a literal example of fake news. Okay. I put this out on my Facebook the other day because I do believe, and I will concur, and I will concede that we have people on our side also creating false news or fake news and trying to drive a false narrative. It's just not to the degree that's happening on the left. And I'll give you a case in point here. Megyn Kelly recently left Fox News to go over to MSNBC. She says NBC, but we know 601 half a dozen other. NBC, CNBC, MSNBC, all the same thing, okay? I guess apparently she thought she needed, she would have better notoriety and, you know, have a better audience over there. Maybe be able to do more of something, whatever it is she wants to do, become the next Baba Walters or, you know, something like Diane Sawyer or somebody like that. All right, so anyway, what I'm getting at here is there was, I get newsletters from Town Hall Daily. You know who Town Hall Daily is, don't you, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay, I get their daily newsletter, sometimes twice a day. And as I opened up one of them over the weekend, the header at the very top was a picture of Megyn Kelly, and it says, there was a breaking story. It was like a big thing as to why Megyn Kelly, she was discovered that she was taking drugs, and it might have been weight loss drugs or whatever, but she was taking some type of, some types of drugs, okay? Now, here's the deal. So when I saw this, and the article, when you read the article, you would really think, the way that it's laid out and everything, you really think this is a legitimate thing. She's addressing the issue on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Kimmel. And we got pictures of her sitting there, you know, across from Jimmy Kimmel. And they've got these little quotes about how happy she is that she was able to address the issues, that she was taking a dietary supplement. And this dietary supplement is what these people are taking, and it was for weight loss. And I'm finally glad I've got the opportunity to clear the air because, you know, no hard feelings with Fox News, but I can do so much more here now, and I'm over in NBC. And you're reading through the whole thing, and they got little screenshots, like videos. No video, but screenshots. Okay, and then quotes underneath the screenshots. So I'm looking at this thing, and I'm thinking, well, gee, I'd like to have the sound clip of this. So I went out looking for the sound clip. I could not find the sound clip. I could not find the interview that they were talking about. I found an interview with her wearing the same dress, and she was on Jimmy Kimmel, but it wasn't talking about these herbal extracts that she was taking or anything like that. So I became suspicious. I said, well, you would think something like this would be front and center on YouTube or something like that. So I went out there and I tried to find it. And I found that all these articles that were being printed were from these really off the wall websites that really have no real meat to them, right? But it disturbed me that this thing was being played on a publication like Town Hall Daily, which paints itself as a fresh, conservative, intelligent reporting. And the very headline on here, looking at it, Celebrity News, Fox News under fire after Megyn Kelly leaked shocking truth. And then you click on this and you read this story and you think, oh my God, this girl is, got some issues here. None of it's true. I couldn't find any credible source. I couldn't find the video. I couldn't find any audio, anything that took place. What somebody did was took some screenshots of an appearance she did on Jimmy Kimmel and placed quotes underneath it. And it paints this story that really Megyn Kelly is some type of, she's addicted to some kind of pills, whether it be for diet or whatever, right? That's fake news. That's what I'm getting at. That's what fake news is. That's made up. And it's made up to advance a narrative. What? Megyn Kelly needs to be exposed as the fraud she is because why? Because she took on Donald Trump. Okay, now we know why she took on Donald Trump. We know that, it was all about elevating herself to stardom, everything else. But, to report it this way as something that occurred that didn't occur, and you know what it turned out to be when you get to the bottom of the article? It's actually an ad from the company that sold her the herbal extract. That's what it was. Because the last 5 paragraphs of the article is talking about the drug itself, and it's got another little ad underneath it, recommended by Dr. Oz, and all this other stuff. So it was an ad that was created by somebody selling these herbal supplements, and it was put into a news article for the purpose of drawing people's attention to that. And somebody like Town Hall Daily took money to put this out there, or I don't know if it was paid for to do it or whatever, or somebody did it without checking it out. That's my point. That's what fake news is, in its literal sense, pure sense of the word, made up story to advance a false narrative. But there are other aspects of this. I want to get into it. We got to go to our break here, and we'll be back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-380-2906. That's 800-380-2906. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-380-2906.
And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives.
All right, hey, we're back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And we're glad you took the time to join us today, and just really appreciate it if you're sticking around through our little technical snafus that we've been having all throughout the day here with our encoders shutting down and having to light them back up. And anyway, back to the topic here of fake news. I guess the way to I need to keep reiterating this because the way it's being argued out there in the media, and I see it because of responses that I'm getting from people on social media, that the idea of fake news is exclusive to just making stories up. But there's much more to it than that. And the reason why it's so imperative that we understand this is twofold. The reason's twofold. First of all, we need to understand that this is going to be the strategy of the left for the next 4 years. The idea of perpetrating anything and everything that they can to fit this narrative that Donald Trump is just a fruitcake and totally inept, totally over his head, and has no reason, place, purpose sitting in the White House. That's going to be the narrative for the next 4 years, because at the same time, I imagine somebody sitting around in a room somewhere trying to figure out who are we going to throw up in 2020. What are we going to do to take back Senate seats in 2018, and what are we going to do to get the White House back? I'm sure that's part of the counter strategy that's being talked about right now within the establishment circles on that side of the asylum. So it's very important that we as Republicans, or not Republicans, I'm sorry, slap me for saying that, we as conservatives have got to learn how to address situations. One of the things I had mentioned earlier over the weekend was this conversation where several people who are quote-unquote conservatives, and I was talking about this, the possibility or the story out there that Trump, that the American public wants Trump impeached. And I was saying this is basically a false narrative. This is something that a particular polling company has been putting out for the purpose of advancing the idea. Now, the argument I'm coming from fellow conservatives, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, is that it's not about that. It's about one person said to me, you're talking about personalities, not America or Americanism. And the general public isn't going to buy this. There's not a snowflake's chance in hell Trump is going to get impeached. I said, you're missing the entire point of what I'm talking about if you think that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Trump is going to get impeached. I'm not saying that anything is going to even come close to getting him impeached. What I'm saying is the idea is being projected out there to feed the false narrative that Donald Trump is unqualified to be president. And that is going to be the narrative for the next 4 years. It doesn't matter whether it actually occurs. The idea is to get it out there. I've used this analogy before. You're an attorney in a courtroom. You want to sway the jury to think a certain way. And so you ask a question that you know is going to be objected to by the other attorney, the opposing side, whether it be the prosecution or the defense. Let's say a prosecution attorney comes out and he asks some really flamboyant, off-the-wall question, a leading question, or just something that is totally irrelevant to actually presenting evidence. The idea being to what? Plant the thought in the jurors' minds. And so the opposing attorney stands up, I object, Your Honor, and the judge says, objection abstained. Strike that from the record. Pay no attention. He'll instruct the jury. Pay no attention to what was just said. But you can't not do that because now the thought is planted. That's just what these false narratives are, or these false allegations and innuendos and speculation and wishful thinking. I think it was who was it out there? The public editor of Snoops used that word. A lot of the fake news out there is wishful thinking type of stuff. It's things that people would like to see. Impeaching Trump is what the left would like to see. 40% of the people, and what the poll is trying to allude to is what? That there's been this sudden turnaround in the electorate as to whether or not they want Donald Trump sitting in the White House. Okay, 40% of the people we polled said that Donald Trump should be impeached. All right. Now, aside from the fact that the polls like this are heavily favored to Democrats in terms of the number of people that they talk to, that's a whole different thing. The point being is that 48% of the public voted for Hillary Clinton. In line with that, you can then build on that type of thing. You can build on that kind of conversation. And so the idea of reiterating here that we as conservatives have got to get better at being able to address immediately things that are being said and planted out there to try to sway public opinion and try to advance the false narrative. And because what has killed us in the past is that we look at this stuff and we say, this is so ridiculous, so out there, that we just discount it. Nobody's going to pay attention to this. Hey, folks, people pay attention to this stuff because the average American voter today doesn't take the time to vet candidates. You know, I was looking at this thing I saw the other day, George Carlin. He said, you know, people are always down on politicians. They're always talking about how bad politicians are. Well, those politicians came from someplace. And where did they come from? It says here, everybody complains about politicians. Everybody says they suck. Well, where do people think these politicians come from? They come from the people that elect them. And so that's what the thing is. We can see public opinion swayed. We've seen it swayed by a simple story. What was the big thing about Mitt Romney losing in 2012? He was caught on a hot mic somewhere saying 47% of the people vote for Obama no matter what. Okay, well, that was a true statement, but it was played in such a way that it gave the insinuation that 47% of the people in the United States are idiots. We saw the same thing with Hillary Clinton, deplorables. Oh, half of Trump supporters are deplorables. That didn't help her. It didn't help what was going on there. And I wish she would, you know, I'm sure she wished she could have taken that statement back because it did do some damage. It incited even more to get people to show up at the polls and vote and elect Donald Trump. So the whole issue here of the fake news is that this is the meat of what the strategy is going to be. And we as Republicans, God, I said it again. I'm flaking out here. We as conservatives have to get better at addressing these things head on immediately. Not let them fester, not let them evolve, not let them to grow into something that becomes so detrimental to what we stand for that we find ourselves not able to defend them anymore. That the noise is so loud
that aren't sure if he's dead or alive. Okay, if that tells you anything.
Yeah. Well, you know, you can deal with that small 5% fringe.
Well, you're talking 11%.
Yeah, okay, 11%. But when you start dealing with you know the numbers being floated out there, 40, 45, 46%.
Well, let's just remember how right were any of these polls this past election season?
Yeah, and that's a perfect point. That's the perfect point. And we knew that. We saw that. And we were calling it here on the show. We're saying, you know what? But the point is that the left is still trying to fit everything within their template. Okay? Their template reporting is what? Polls are valid. Polls substantiate the narrative.
Well, they're still doing their thing. They're still just throwing stuff against the wall and see if it'll stick. They're just flailing around because they have nothing else to do. They have nothing. They have no candidates. They have no platform. They have no programs that are worth a darn. And the American people just rejected every last bit of it. And they're still flailing around. They look like the Terminator in the vat of molten steel. He's just flailing around, just going crazy. It's just like, oh well, this is too bad.
Yeah,
that's all they have, and that's what Maxine Waters is out there. We're going to impeach him. We're in day 25 of of the Trump administration, and they're out there screaming impeachment. Are you kidding me? And then you stand there in front of the American people and say, "We're not trying to obstruct anything."
Yeah,
really.
Yeah. Well, it's an indictment on the inability to articulate any clear message. The Democrats have gotten their ass kicked, you know, at the state level over the last 4 to 6 years, and this whole idea that everything rests on who sits in the White House. All of a sudden, I mean, it's just the entire narrative, the entire paradigm is so out of whack, and so it's like Rahm Emanuel. Remember, I kind of added to his thing when he said, "You never let a good crisis go to waste because you can always get some things done." I'm kind of like, you never let a good crisis go to waste, and if you don't have one, you create one. Okay,
well, that's what they're trying to do, but it's just not working. It's just not going to work.
No, but they're going to keep doing it
Well, yeah,
because they have nothing else to do.
And that's the reason why I get upset at these lovely people you see on TV, a certain ex-White House press secretary who thinks she's God's gift to public polling and public affairs. It's like, look, you let Bush's White House be defined by the left for 8 years. Don't give me this crap that you know what you're doing.
Oh, I know. I'll give you another one that just came down today. I find this one I was roaring when I read this. Ex-GOP Representative David Jolly. Okay,
yes.
Down there, I believe he was down there in the Florida area.
Yeah, Charlie Christown.
Okay, and he's out there telling the media. Former Republican Representative David Jolly criticized GOP congressman for not doing enough to stand up to President Donald Trump. This is a former GOP congressman. You guys are not standing up to Donald Trump. We need a Congress who speaks up against a president who has shown in the past 30 days some very risky behavior as the chief executive. Now, Jolly lost to Charlie Crist.
Yeah.
Now, what relevance do you want to place on a man that couldn't even beat Charlie Crist?
Thank you. Exactly. That's like listening to Lindsey Graham on anything. Really?
Yeah.
Hey,
but because
John
they have
Payne, your shadow's talking again.
But they're given the status of credible because they have an R after their name, and it will fit the narrative.
Yes.
This guy is reciting the narrative. In the last 30 days, Donald Trump has shown some risky. He must be one of the guys talking to Al Franken. Donald Trump's mentally unstable, okay? And so even though that's coming down that way, what relevance do you want to give to somebody that couldn't even beat Charlie Crist? Who, by the way, has been everything. I think he's been a Democrat, a Republican, an independent.
Yes.
This guy can't even make up his own mind what he is, and he beat this guy.
In fact, he was all three in the same election season, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, hey, look, we got to take our short break here. We'll be back in just a minute. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, the adults in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring. Now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. All right, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate. Visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. Pick up all our archives and find out what you need to know about the show, theconservativesyndicate.net. We're talking about the fake news, the advancement of fake news. I covered this briefly. And I'll tell you why I know this is going to be the strategy. I mean, I'm as sure as I'm sitting here right now, this is going to be the strategy for the next 4 years. I mentioned last week briefly about the article by Tim Marson on the International Business Times about the liberal fake news reportedly growing. And he covers in this kind of brief article, but very, very to the point, that the liberal-leaning fake news is on the rise. And it's not just from the journalistic shops the president was lambasting. And this is according to The Guardian, which, by the way, is a European leftist rag. And they're even talking about it as fake news. So that tells you something. When you've got leftist sites out there like Huffington Post and The Guardian, places like this, acknowledging that there is an issue with the fake news and that it's coming from the left. And I quoted several times, I did it again today, Brooke Benkowski, who's the managing editor of the website Snopes, or Snopes, however you wanted to pronounce that. And even The Atlantic reported, her response was that, yes, it is coming from the left. There's a massive rise of fake news coming from the left. Now, I'm not talking about just made-up stuff, although that is one of the things they point out. There were some things about Standing Rock protest. What is a Standing Rock protest? I don't know. Melania Trump is selling jewelry on the White House website. Mike Pence making some statements about abortion that are contrary to what Donald Trump is saying, that kind of thing. Now, there is also an article that came out today from the Associated Press by Carolyn Thompson, and this is what indicates to me that this is what's happening. This is becoming the training ground for the activists for the next 4 years. Fake News 101, the new civics course in U.S. schools. Okay, teachers from elementary school through college are telling students how to distinguish between factual and fictional news and why they should care that there's a difference. As Facebook works with the Associated Press, factcheck.org, and other organizations to curb the spread of fake and misleading news on its influential network, teachers say classroom instruction can play a role in deflating the kind of Pope endorses Trump headlines that muddled the waters of the 2016 presidential election campaign. I think only education can solve this problem, said Pat Winters-Laurel, professor at Keene University in New Jersey, who began teaching a course on news literacy this semester. Now, let's just give this a thought, just for a second here. All of a sudden, this is just something all of a sudden that a professor at a university in New Jersey decided needed to be done. He already started a course in literacy, news literacy, meaning this has already started. This started before the elections even took place because the school year started in September last year. They're already talking about teaching fake news as an academic subject. Now think about that. The article goes on to say, Laurel has found discussions of fake news can lead to politically sensitive territory. Some critics believe fake stories targeting Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton helped Donald Trump overcome a deficit in public opinion polls, and President Trump himself has attached a label to various media outlets and unfavorable reports and polls in the first weeks of his presidency. Okay? Trump overcame a deficit in public opinion polls? No, he didn't. Those polls were fake.
They were flat out wrong.
They were wrong. They were dead wrong. And so what we have here is now the education institutions are saying we have to address this to our students.
We have to indoctrinate better.
Yeah, we need to indoctrinate them as to how to determine what fake news is and isn't. You know damn well they're not going to sit there. I think this is a great idea if you cover it from both sides.
But that won't happen. This is as bad as what they're doing in Europe.
Yeah.
Who decides what's fake and what's not fake?
Yeah. This teacher here, Laurel, what's his name? Pat Winters Laurel, okay? It hasn't been a difficult topic to teach in terms of material because there's so much going on. But it's difficult in terms of politics because we have such a divided country and the students are divided too on their beliefs. I'm afraid sometimes that they think I'm being political when I'm really just talking about journalistic standards for facts and verification, and they look at like, oh, you're just anti-this or anti-that. Okay, this is a teacher talking that's teaching this course. You tell me, once it's in the educational system now, being floated not only at this institution, but others. A California lawmaker last month introduced a bill to require the state to add lessons on how to distinguish between real and fake news to the grade 7 to 12 curriculum. You find that in Common Core, by the way. That's in the Common Core curriculum. All right? So when a California lawmaker is asking schools, making it a mandate that schools teach this stuff, we might as well get back to teaching homosexual history and stuff like that. But that's what this is. It's being geared. It's going to be what's the word? It's going to be integrated into the social engineering that's going on in our institutions right now. We'll talk more about this again tomorrow. And hopefully we'll have our technical snafu stuff. We thank you for being patient with us today. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hako, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.